Hey everyone, I'm sorry to be gone so long. I was making furniture and preparing furniture that's used to be in my house in Sweden and then Canada and the United States and is now in Japan. I've been working on it for a month and a half, 2 months, and I'm finally getting back to doing videos. Today I'll be talking about NextDrive Spectra X. Spectra X is the second in their line of USB DAC and amp for your smartphone and your computer. The one I have connects via USB-A, so it goes straight into your computer. Unless, of course, you have a new Mac, which you'll need some sort of adapter. If you have a smartphone you can get that doesn't have the proper USB micro, whatever it's called, connection, or USB-B or whatever it's called, this bad boy here, of course, connects to Lightning from your smartphone, Apple smartphone, and then it goes out to USB-A here. This is a high-resolution DAC, and I don't mean that just in the marketing terms. As you can see from the measurements that I will share later on, it certainly breaks the 16-bit sound barrier or decibel barrier or measurement barrier, whatever you want to call it, and in fact surpasses sometimes 16-bit dithered, entering the world of 24-bit audio. But this thing actually does 32-bit, 384 kilohertz, DSD 11.2 megahertz. I can't believe I remembered that. That's wonderful. Anyway, it goes for 180 bucks and it's not quite to market. NextDrive were so kind to send me 2 units, one to review at Headphonia, and because of certain contractual obligations I have with Headphonia, another unit to do completely separately, and that is what this bad boy is. Both are the same one. I've tested both numerous times to ensure that my amateur measurements are actually somewhat accurate, or as accurate as they can be, and my opinions after using it for some weeks is good. In fact, very good. I was impressed with Spectra, the first one, but Spectra X is better in almost every regard. And yet, it's a little bit frustrating. Now I'll say this before I get really to the meat of it. I've been doing a lot of wireless things from FiiO, from Bluewave, from Radson, a whole bunch of different companies, and it's really nice to have on the DAC a volume or a track button. And this thing doesn't have it, so you have to rely on your smartphone or your computer for every single change in anything, attenuation or changing tracks. And it really would be nice if some of those functions were attached to something like the Spectra X. But apart from that, this thing is gold. It's a wonderful device. Well, why don't we check out some of its measurements and how it works in the hand, how it feels, and maybe what's in the box. Here, as you can see, that's pretty cool. It folds out like a folio, essentially like this, and there's a pull tab for the plastic. If you get a brand new box, you're gonna have to cut a seal here and a seal here, but then you pull it like this, and once you get rid of this plastic, I'm gonna put it here on the floor. The Spectra is just right there. As you can see, of course, is the USB-A version, so that's the dongle that I, of course, need is the Lightning one here. And it plugs just like this, just like this, into my iPad or iPhone, and it works just as well on either one. The Spectra X is small, slim, a carrying case. Now this is kind of interesting because I never thought of taking a carrying case for something like this. If I traveled, I would just put this in my camera bag, just like that. The carrying case is like fake suede or fake felt. I'm not exactly sure. It's very soft. You can pop the Spectra in essentially like this, and then it just fits like that. I guess, you know, it'll keep it protected certainly, but it's a $180 device, and well, that's not cheap. That is a lot of money. By the time you've used this and really enjoyed it, it's not going to be worth anything like that. I'd imagine the market's going to mark it down, you know, 100 bucks, something like a year. So scratches on it aren't probably going to be worth your time if you're going to sell it later on. I have no idea. This little pouch is a nice touch. Will I ever use it? No, absolutely not. Then you get a business card here with a 3D scanner, 3D scanning, whatever that's called, QR code. And the manual is here. Written in, well, mine is written in Japanese, English, and it looks like Chinese. And it tells you basically how to use it. I don't think you're really going to need to spend any time looking at the manual because it really is quite simple. Voila! because of the magnetic latch, it stays closed and it's just ready to hang up or whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to plug this bad boy in, and what I want to show you is not only the maximum volume that this thing is capable of through a couple of different genres of music, as well as some albums that you may or may not like or may have not heard of, but I want to show you the level of volume that I'm comfortable with, and then of course maximum what it's able to do. And I'm going to try not to fight with this tripod too much. Okay, let's start with a bit of Bexarimetric. This is with the Sennheiser 650s connected straight to the Spectra X, as you can see here. Now I'm going to hold this up to the microphone. This is the maximum volume here. Now if I put this on my head, it may or may not sound loud in the microphone, but if I put this on my head, this is too much volume for me. I can't even really hear what I'm saying. So I'm going to turn it down to the volume I'm most comfortable listening to this music. As you can see from the iPhone, I've turned the volume down to about, I would say, 68%, about 70% of the volume scale. And even then, it depends on the genre. It might be just a little bit too much. Maybe 66 is good. Now let's check out some different music. Let's try some trance. Good song. Whoa. All right. So this is trance. This is from Armin van Buuren's 2013 album called Intense. Right now, you're listening to the volume that I feel comfortable at, which is here. But if we adjust the volume to go max, you can tell it's a lot louder, and I honestly cannot listen without a little bit of pain at this volume. I will show you my reaction. Yeah, I don't like it at all. This is way too much. Way too much. All right. Now, that was the Sennheiser 650. So if you find that something like a player, like the AK240 is too soft with the Sennheiser 650 in terms of volume, you don't get enough volume, then you probably find that this is a little too quiet. This gives a slightly higher volume than something like the Onkyo DP-S1, which is a very small, portable, but very powerful player. And it's louder by about 6 decibels than the loudest iPhone out there, even with, well, let's say with your dongle if you need with the new headphoneless iPhones. So it's got a lot of power, but it's not going to have as much as, of course, a dedicated amplifier, at least a dedicated good amplifier. This gets louder than my Hilo, Lynx Hilo, which is $2,600 ADC and DAC with a nice headphone amplifier. It gets louder than my Sony JA333ES, which is a good, not receiver, but mini disc recorder. So it's loud enough. You may want a little bit more power depending on what you're listening to. But let's check out how it handles portable headphones. One of my favorites is the Ultrasone Edition 8. I think it's the Palladium version. And we are going to put this around my head, I guess, first. Adjust it for size, perfect. And take out the Sennheisers. Put them on the chair here. Plug it into the Spectra X and turn the volume way down because these are much more sensitive, as well as not only do you need as much voltage to get them loud, they do require more current, of course, at the same at similar volume levels. But let's see, is this too much? It's a bit too much. Okay, iPhone, check this out. This is too much volume here at around just over 50%. For me, I would probably listen to Armin van Buuren, Modern Trance, even here, maybe at around 40% or 45%. But, and this is what it sounds like in the microphone. Now, if I pump it up, how's it going to handle? I think you're going to find that there's a little bit of shearing here because there's not enough current. Yeah, you can tell there's some warbling there. That's probably destroying the microphone. It generally handles portable headphones really well, but that is its weak point. I think you're going to find in this thing much more powerful than your iPad, and it is much more powerful than an iMac Pro, which of course you can see on my website. I measured recently, and I've also been a little bit unimpressed with, because if I plug a Sennheiser 650, I'm plugging it in there and finding that at about its maximum, I can still listen rather comfortably, whereas the iMac from 2012 ended up pushing the boundaries of what I felt comfortable. So that's all to say that this is powerful, the Spectre X is powerful, and you'll see from the measurements that it's also good power that gives extremely good quality, low noise, etc. into your favorite headphones. And I think in general, it will do perfectly fine for 95, 96, 97% of the headphones out there that you will listen to as an audiophile. There may be some headphones, planners, that may cause it a little bit to shrink down in volume, etc. But in general, you're doing very well, and these will supply everything you have, or almost everything you have, with enough voltage, plenty of current, and it will sound extremely good. And fortunately, with these sensitive earphones, amazing earphones, some would say the best, there's no hiss through Spectre X. So this is going to work extremely well for all of your all of your single-ended earphones anywhere. You're basically going to get the best sound that you can possibly get through a dongle like this, at least that I've tested. You're going to get no noise, you're going to get extremely good dynamic range. In fact, you know what? Let's take a couple of minutes and check out exactly the spec according to what I've measured for this device. We're going to check out my screen here. Check it out, we are getting THD of 0.003%, IMD and noise, whatever that is, that's an RMA measure that I don't think anyone particularly understands exactly, is 0.006%. Stereo to crosstalk of minus 118.6, noise levels of minus 119.8, dynamic range of 119.7. And there's a deviation from the frequency response according to RMMA of up to minus 0.11, and that would be here on the right hand side of this graph. That's basically nothing. As you can tell, it is a linear frequency response. Noise levels are practically off the charts. Dynamic range as well, extremely good. Now here's where you get the problem, which you can see in purple as well as in teal. When it's driving SM2 as well as the Audio-Technica ES7, it has some trouble. But, of course, that is tested at the absolute extremes of its volume scale, which you would never listen to because those things would break your ears in a heartbeat. Now, intermodulation distortion, again, we're looking at maximum volume that this thing can do, and I recorded at those levels, so while it looks bad, and it is bad, you're not listening to those volumes. Stereo crosstalk, also very interesting. You can see that there's not much deviation from bass all the way to highs, and there's just a little bit of better separation once you go beyond 1 kilohertz and in between that and about 9 kilohertz. And the drop is something like up to 15 decibels. But when music is playing and you're not listening to a test file, that's an extremely linear response, and I think you're going to find this Spectre X delivers extremely good stereo detail as well as texture. It's one of the best devices I've heard. Considering it only costs 180 bucks, it's certainly up there with probably the best DAP I've ever heard. I'm extremely impressed overall. So if you're worried about its performance, please do not be. It performs. You have nothing to worry about. Thank you very much for tuning in to another Fotaku Lounge. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments section about the Spectre X, or about how I can improve the channel, or what I have done wrong. Right. I hope that you give a like or dislike, and certainly if you won't, subscribe, and I will see you for the next video. Ta-ta.